Welcome into Bible Center, your source for all things March Madness Bible Edition this year. I'm your host, Jay Hall. Ben, what do we got for today's episode?
Jay, we have really a great episode today. I mean, this episode is going to be one of the ones we look back on and remember with great joy.
Oh, yeah.
Today we have 4 guest speakers that are going to break down each part of the bracket, each region of the bracket, the Old Testament, the New Testament, the less knowns, and the wonderful women. We're going to have 4 guest speakers talk about these brackets, see what might come out of them, and you're really going to love the guest speakers we have today. Isaac, why don't you just go ahead and tell us about that first guest speaker?
Yeah, well, we got a real treat for you guys today. We have Philip Jenkins coming in talking about the Old Testament pillars. Philip has been the youth minister at the Mount Juliet Church of Christ for quite a while now, and he's taken his youth group to the Final Four for the past at least 20 years in a row. So he's a great youth minister. So Philip, go ahead and take it away from us.
Okay, Philip Jenkins here to break down the Old Testament pillars bracket. Let's start with the number 1 seed David versus the number 8 seed Jacob. A bit of a role reversal there. David usually plays the underdog. This time he finds himself playing Goliath, hoping that he doesn't get rocked. Jacob, the 8 seed, trying to grab at his heels. If you're looking for the upset, look elsewhere. David by 200 points. Next, Noah, the 4 seed, versus 5th seed Daniel. Daniel, of course, the highly touted recruit out of Jerusalem. He started at the bottom of the depth chart, and now he's worked his way up, commanding the respect of his head coach. But Noah's no stranger to the rain. He knows that this will be a long, grueling 40 minutes. Expect a miracle performance at the end. Team Noah commands the ark. Moving on to Abraham and Joshua. Team Abraham has shown a lot of promise as of late. He's already shown that he's willing to pay the price for greatness, ready to answer the call. Joshua, on the other hand, he's been waiting for his turn, redshirting his freshman year. He's gotten a lot of reps. He's been learning the system, spending a lot of time working out with the 2 seed Moses. He's got all the intangibles. He's strong. He's courageous. He's not afraid. This is a close one, but I've got Team Abraham here. It just feels like it's in the stars for him. And finally, the 2 seed Moses against 7 seed Elijah. Team Moses, the meekest team in all the land. Lucky really to have that number 2 seed this year as they've been plagued by self-inflicted injuries. The firing of 2 young assistant coaches, Nadab and Abihu, didn't do the team any favors either. Could this be the year that they enter the promised land and take hold of that prize? Team Elijah, on the other hand, is coming out of a drought, and they've got all the momentum after an epic mountaintop showdown for the ages, one in which they absolutely slaughtered the prophets of Baal on their home turf. I know that it may not look close on paper, folks, but go ahead and engrave it on tablets of stone, Moses by 10.
Wow. After that, our cup is definitely filled. Ben, who we got up next?
Jay, Isaac, we got really just a powerhouse up next as a guest speaker. I mean, this person means a lot to me personally, means a lot to the BYG, means a lot to the kingdom, really, in general. She's going to be going over the wonderful women. Her name is the one, the only, Emma Butt. Take it away, Emma.
Hello everyone, Emma Butt here. Delighted to be your guest bracketologist in the Wonderful Women category. Let's start breaking this thing down and looking at my predictions. First matchup, Mary versus Sarah, representing all the moms in the room. Sarah is strong as the mother of pretty much everyone, but then you've got Mary, who's specifically the mother of Jesus. Jesus pretty much beats everyone, so no question here. I'm giving this one to Mary. I don't see Sarah laughing about it either. Next, we have Ruth versus Hannah. Both know how to get the men they want. Yes, Ruth is the great-grandmother of David, but I still think I'm giving this one to Hannah. She's definitely the dark horse here and not a woman to be provoked because she will use it to get what she wants. Here, I think that's the win. Moving on, Esther versus Rahab, your classic princess versus prostitute showdown. I disagree with those of you who think Rahab will win this one by a scarlet thread. Esther, all the way. Deborah versus Priscilla, next. Both great leaders and influencers. However, I do believe Deborah could kill me easier, so I'm going to go with Deborah. So now, moving on in the tournament, we've got Mary versus Hannah. Both offered up beautiful prayers when they found out they were pregnant, but we're only singing Mary's today. And it's a four-parter, so I think that gives it the style edge, and I'm going to give Mary this one here. Next, Esther versus Deborah. There's not a lot I can say here, but my gut is telling me to go with Esther. I think this could really be her time. That puts our final matchup, Mary versus Esther. So here I have to ask myself, who would Jesus choose? Clearly, I think that's Mary. She was the woman God handpicked to deliver the Savior of the world. It's a pretty good advantage in my book. We'll see how this plays out in our last few days of March. Good luck, everybody.
What a wonderful woman to break down the wonderful women.
Amen.
And as we move away from those wonderful women, just like the son of our next guest has been doing for years, we move over to the New Testament heroes, where we have an elder, an expert, some might even say an expert elder, to break it down, John Burnett. Take it away, John.
John Burnett here. What an honor it is to be asked to break down the New Testament heroes bracket. By far, I've been given the toughest bracket, I think, here, so I'm going to break them down for you and see what you think. Paul versus James in the first round, just based on confusion alone, whether we're talking James the apostle or James the brother of Jesus, I'm going to go with Paul to move on from that first matchup. John the Baptist versus Stephen. Who in their right mind would put John the Baptist versus Stephen? Talk about tragic stories in the New Testament. I'm going to go with John the Baptist to move on from that matchup. John versus Barnabas. You got the disciple whom Jesus loved versus Barnabas, the great encourager. I just don't see how you can not go with John in this case. If Jesus loved him, he's the favorite. You go Peter versus Luke. Peter, rash, going to get off to a hot start. If Luke can weather the storm with a hot start by Peter, Luke, the physician's going to come through. But you have to think Luke's distracted with the current COVID-19 thing going on. Any physician would be. It's understandable. So I'm going to choose Peter to move on there. So going in the second round, you got Paul versus John the Baptist. Paul's prolific. I don't see any way you don't choose Paul in that matchup versus John the Baptist. John versus Peter. What a clash of titans. I'm going with John. You just got to go with John. Have to. Peter, going to get off to a hot start, but again, you can't count on Peter. So we got Paul versus John in the bracket finals. I'm going with John. Who wouldn't go with John in this situation? Peter, again, inconsistent. Could just come out hot and win this bracket, but I'm going with John to win that bracket. A lot of fun. Appreciate you listening. Good luck on your bracket.
Thank you for that exegetical insight there, John. We hope as well that Luke is able to figure this virus thing out. Next, we have the boldest man alive.
Coming to us all the way from Montgomery, Alabama, he is said to have the greatest Kramer face in all the world. You better believe it. And also, might even say, go X-Men!
Some might even say he's the greatest showman, Jeremy Pate. Take it away, Jeremy.
Hey BYG, Jeremy Pate here to break down your lesser known leaders bracket for you. And folks, this one is a doozy. You've got some spicy mixed gender matchups and at least one Jeremy and Brooke sized age gap here that is causing quite a bit of excitement and speculation among anyone who's ever picked up a copy of the good book. What in the wide world of sports is going to happen when Josiah goes up against Abigail? Will Josiah freeze when he sees this stunner, wishing he was a few years older? Or will Abigail think, what a cute kid, why is he wearing that crown? Either way, it's youth, devotion, and a prepubescent ruler of Israel going up against discernment, beauty, and someone who probably wishes she had dated someone from church. Anything can happen in this one, folks, so tighten up your tube socks and buckle in for a thriller in the wilderness. And then we have Andrew versus Dorcas. Who will come out on top when this disciple who can smell fish in a crowd of 5,000 sweaty Jewish men faces off with a woman who had the whole town of Joppa sewn up with her good works and charity? And watch out for Andrew's signature move, bringing something else to the event. Folks, he brought Peter, dinner, and a bunch of Greeks to Jesus, so don't put it past him to bring something special to this matchup. But killer moves or not, don't count Dorcas out yet. Remember, she's already been dead once, so who's to say she won't give Andrew a run for his shekel in this one? Folks, this one's going to be a real nail-biter. But hold on to your cushioned seats, because we've also got in this first round Caleb versus Nicodemus. What exactly is going to happen when this 1 in a million, battle-hardened former slave and elite spy crosses paths with, well, he's certainly not afraid to get out at night. And let's not forget, he was on a council. That's something. But don't count Nicodemus out, folks, because the last time we saw him, he was almost not ashamed to support Jesus in public. But to close out this first round of matchups, we have Nehemiah versus Lydia. I might get in trouble for this one, folks, but I think this may be the only true mismatch in this otherwise stellar bracket. Nehemiah, to put it simply, is going to wreck Lydia's purple shop. We're talking about a man who left his position as a powerful advisor to the king of Persia and was single-handedly responsible for building back the wall of Jerusalem in 52 days with a handful of scared Jews and a stiff upper lip, versus a woman who basically owned a banana republic and worshipped by the river. No disrespect to this fine Christian woman, but this is the equivalent of LeBron James going up against Grant Duncan in a game of one-on-one. But it's March Madness, folks, and anything can happen. So put 6 feet between yourself and the nearest person, put on your quarantine mask, and spend your government check on popcorn and Coke Zero, because it's about to get lit in the ball pit. And no, I don't know what that means. But I love you, I miss you, and God bless you. Play ball.
Great thoughts on one of the most anticipated regions of this year's bracket. Thank you, Jeremy. And you may not know what March Madness is, but we know how much you mean to us.
Amen. That's right.
Well, folks, that's all we've got for today's show. Please click on the link attached and cast your votes until Monday at 5. That's also the time we'll be back with you at 5 p.m. live for your next episode of Bible Center.